welcome to the Book Over, a little book club where we talk about books, especially the ones that give us book hangovers. I'm Sarah, and with me is Megan.
Hey, everybody.
And today with us is Jane Washington. Who is
the crowd goes mildly wild.
Very mildly wild. Actually very wild. We're just like I know you from Ironside Academy, but I know you've written other things.
The first series that I read the first book that I read was Charcoal Tears, and that's
nice.
I feel like that was early RH. I feel like you got into the RH game pretty early.
I had never read reverse harem. Reverse harem wasn't like a thing that people were saying. I was calling it a love pentagon.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I love pentagon.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was not like much of a thing. I wrote Charcoal Tears after watching this anime, which actually hilariously is kind of like Ironside Academy. It was like this academy of idols, and she just she was like the manager sort of thing of their band, and they just kept adding people in. And I was like, it got to a point where it was like not even just their band, then they added another band, then they were like, then there's like a third one, and I'm like, I can't with this anymore. But yeah,
no wonder we got 10. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It sounds like this might have like 30.
Wow.
So you got into reverse harem so early on, so before you even knew it was like a genre. I feel like it was probably like 2017, and I feel like there was just like a few of them out there back then in American romance.
Yeah.
Did you say a spider?
Yeah, I think I got it off, but I don't know where it went.
Oh no! I don't want to say Australia.
For you to have the spider thing, because I saw for your read along life that you're like, if I'm late, it's because of a spider. So is that like a thing?
Listen, this spider was hanging like really menacingly over my bathroom door, and it was like, I may have even said this on the live, or I might have just said it to Madison, who I was doing the live with, like after it or before it ended, but it was like hanging down on its little string right in the bathroom doorway, and then it would pose. It would be like just like stare at me, and I'm there like doing my makeup, like, how do I get out of the bathroom? It's just like
oh my gosh, what happened? Is it still is it still there?
I walked under it and it was like fuck, and then it like, sorry, can I swear? Swearing's
good?
Yeah,
swearing's fine.
Oh.
Swear away.
Yeah.
It freaked out and it like went back up to the ceiling.
Okay.
So it's somewhere. Maybe that's the same one. Maybe it's come back.
It's still there.
Oh, okay.
It just lives there now. It's my little bathroom spider.
I have bathroom spiders
bugs away.
They're allowed to stay. And there was one that I named Spritz because it was in the corner of the window and it always got like water spritz on it. And so I was like, yeah, he's caught stuff. I'm like, he can stay. And then this other spider showed up and killed him and took over. And that spider was aggressive and he would come out. Like Spritz would like hide when I would go in the shower. And then like this one would come out. I'm like, I don't like you. And then I got my husband to get him.
Oh gosh.
I know, I really miss Spritz.
R.I.P.
Psycho behavior.
Get really attached to things. Especially fictional characters.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I completely forgot your question. I just went on a spider rant.
That was a good spider rant though. It was so were you, when you first got into reverse harem,
yeah.
It was I'm guessing, so it was inspiration from the anime and not like you didn't even know it was a genre, or again I know it was like very early days.
Single reverse harem book. I'd read Love Triangles, obviously.
Yeah.
And then after I think I was like on book 2 or something. Then people were pointing me to C.L. Stone series and Laurel K. Hamilton series.
Mm-hmm.
And then those were like the only other two that I knew of at the time. And then for a while there, it got kind of like, I mean, it was such a baby genre. And, you know, you start off with these little niche genres, they all share the same qualities and the same plot points and devices. And for a while, I was like, I just can't come up with this genre anymore. And I just like, I didn't read a reverse harem for like 7 years or something.
Oh, wow.
And then, yeah, just maybe the last couple of years, just started reading them again.
And started writing again in reverse harem.
Yeah, well, the whole time I was doing Curse of the Gods, I wasn't reading reverse harem. I couldn't. And then, oh, actually, no, it would have been somewhere around my Tempest series. I started reading it again.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was 2 to 3 years ago.
Yeah, about that.
Okay, but
I feel like I was just gonna say, I feel like the genre is really like matured to a point where it's more established, and those like similarities don't bother me anymore. It's just like, you know.
I feel like that's because it's gotten so big now. Now it's kind of got its own tropes now. It seems like whether it's contemporary or PNR, it's got its own like checklist in a way.
Like twins are like a reverse harem trope now.
Yeah.
Whereas before, I was like, I am fucking sick of seeing twins in reverse harem. Stop it. Like, do something else.
Yeah. True. Well, it did seem, because when it was an early genre, it did seem like things were kind of similar. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting now. It's everywhere. It's huge. And another thing I find interesting is that it started out not as spicy. Now it's kind of known for being spicy. So
yeah,
that's interesting. I will be interested to hear more about how Ironside is gonna go there soon.
So
are either of you on my ARC team?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not yet.
Right.
I almost signed up for Ironside, and then something happened. I think it was like spring or something. I was close to signing up.
So Megan and I were both talking about plie without realizing we were both talking about it. So Megan was calling it. I usually don't call books by their series title. I call it by like whatever the first book is, and that's like the whole series is whatever that book is. So she was saying, Sarah, you need to read. And I remember seeing I'm a fan of Tijin's, and she posted about,
is that how you say Tijan?
Thank you.
I have been friends with this lady for years, and every time someone says what you just said, I'm like, who?
Right? I was saying Tijan for years.
In the audiobooks, they say Tijin. So I'm assuming that's correct.
And I was saying Tijan, and I'm like, I'm usually wrong about these things, so I'm going to trust Sarah.
So I was like, the cover. I loved the cover, and I'm like, oh, I love this author. This is an RH. I think it said it was an RH. I'm like, I want to read this book. So it was sitting in my TBR. Then I was like in a book slump or something. And Megan's like, you need to read Ironside by Jane Washington. She's like, OG RH, like you're gonna love it. It's like Mount Spey vibes. Like you're gonna love this book.
What?
Like, okay, eventually I'll get to it. And then there was somebody posted a picture of your book, and I think we both commented on it, and I was like, Megan, this is a book I want us to read. And she's like, Sarah, this is the book I've been telling you to read. And I was like
I literally just texted her like the day before.
Because I was just like, and I'm like in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna read Plier, and she's like, read Ironside, and then
I love that.
I get the audiobook, and she's like, plie, and I'm like, oh gosh.
This is a whole name
like, I should know that. I shouldn't have known that.
Anyway. She's actually a dancer, Jennifer Sterling, who did the audiobook, and she pronounced Tournay wrong.
Did she really?
And she sent me a message. It went out, and I think I think it went to quality control. She sent me a message. She's like, I'm so stupid. I know what that word means. I know how to say it. And I still said Turner.
Doesn't it
Yeah.
mean does it mean to turn as well?
Yeah.
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 Okay. Yeah. I
I
like
took dance for years and I messed up. So, ugh.
Well, they don't really use, I mean, other than plie, they don't really use the terms. So
No, yeah.
okay.
So I feel a little bit
understandable.
better. Yeah, I feel a little bit better
Yeah.
on that. But oh my
Um,
gosh, yes, we just love the series, and I think we had both been craving like a really good RH, and we hadn't had one in a while, just something different. And I mean, I love the fact that it's a reality show, and it's just so at the times of, um social media and getting the points. And then you've got the Omegaverse, which I'm not like huge into that, but I love that it's like a different take on it. They're not
Yeah.
shifting. I mean, you've got so many different parts of genres that people love in a completely different way. And then in a
Mm.
genre that I've been missing and craving something new from
mhm.
for so long. So I was just like, Sarah, you have got to read. This is what we've been talking about. This is what we've been wanting. And we are
Reading it.
absolutely
Yeah.
addicted.
Yeah.
We are
Oh, that's
addicted.
amazing.
And it's amazing
Thank you.
because we've gotten to the point where we don't need, okay, we like spice, but we don't need a lot of it. And for me to be like,
Too
okay,
bad.
no. So I'm very
No, but
excited. I
I'm
have to
looking
say,
forward to it,
I'm very excited
especially
and I
kinky
have
stuff.
ideas and hopes for what is to come. But like I liked how you know with the writing and everything there's just like the little parts, little scenes, like the tiniest little like gesture could still be like, oh my gosh, that was hot. Like, and
Yeah.
it's not like just going at it all the time. It's just like
Yeah.
that progression of a relationship where like you don't,
Yeah.
I love it because like I feel like the characters, I have so many things to say. I feel like the characters, no, they just don't know, they don't realize that they're already before everything. Spoiler, that they were already kind of getting those relationships started, I feel like.
Yeah.
So it's just like I'm really worried because I'm scared that they're gonna feel like they're being forced.
Mm.
And I'm like, no, 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 it's okay, everybody. It's okay. Be happy, like embrace them. This is great. So I'm like really excited for like and there's so many people with different needs and wants and
Yeah.
opinions. So it's like, oh my gosh. And then sorry, I don't know what to say. Because they're just like really like what's going to happen. And I know you can't tell
Yeah.
me. But also your social media is amazing. And
How
just
is it?
The teasers, my gosh,
the
Oh.
teasers,
you are
the
on it.
group text messages you post,
Oh.
I like love them. Like I'll go hide in the bathroom from my family so I can read them uninterrupted. And then like it's just like just and then like yeah, the teasers and the rules, Storm A rules.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I love that. Like the running. Yeah, it's
So
fun.
how, yeah, and so how are you, like, I mean, how do you keep 10, like, I mean, even in the text messages, 10 different characters, and their personalities? How is that all in your head? And how does that translate to the page? I
Oh,
mean, it's impressive.
Mhm.
yeah. The personalities thing is not hard because I
Hmm.
wrote them for a year before I wrote Plie.
Okay.
I just
You
wrote
you wrote
version
them?
after version. Yeah.
Really?
I've got dozens of different versions of Plie basically.
Wow.
All very different. Like the only thing that stayed is the pop star thing. So other than the pop star thing, like entire
Hmm.
genres changed, but they were all the
Wow.
same people. I mean, Isabel
Hmm.
was always the same. Thea was always there. Kian was always there. Killian was always there. But sometimes those same people I gave, like sometimes Kian's name was Killian. It's like sometimes, but their
Really?
personalities were always
Hmm.
like basically there. So they just
Hmm.
developed for a year. They like percolated. And yeah, but keeping them organized in a scene is different because for a while there, I was like, someone's missing, and I know it's Kian. And then, or
Oh.
like
Hmm.
Killian. Like there was always like those two that were missing. And I've written everyone else. And then I got to a point like somewhere in book 2 where I always put them in first. And I'm talking about like bonus scene stuff, you know, like the text messages or whatever.
Yeah.
Or if I'm just like drafting up a scene, I got to a point where I always put them in first, and then I would forget other people. So it's just like keeping them organized is not not as easy as them all, you know, being their personalities that they are. That's not hard. But yeah, I mean, 11 people is hard to keep track of. Yeah. It's like you do a roll call. You're like, all right, who's here? Who's not here?
Do you feel pressure to give them equal time in the stories? I mean, I know, like, for example, like Nico, we didn't really hear a lot from him until book 2. And I kind of like that. Like, I like there being different pacings and relationships, and it feels more natural than forcing it. But you, like, by the time you get to book 3, do you kind of feel this pressure to give them equal time? Or are you still saying, like, hey, they have their own pace? How does that work?
I think it just depends on, well, it depends on a few things, because you have to be careful, right? Like, it's problematic. I mean, if it's not problematic, I'm not going to write it because it's not fun. But like, 10 guys is problematic, you know, an age difference, even if it's slight in some people's opinions, that's problematic. Teachers, that everything there is, I mean, Oscar just as a person is problematic. Like,
but we love it.
The fact that Moses and Theo are brothers is problematic. So it's more based on the problematic aspects of it, you know. It's like if the 2 professors don't kind of come in a little bit strong at the start, then it's going to feel creepy when they come in later. So they have to have a bit more time at the beginning and then like ebb off just a tiny bit to be, you know, more of a respectful presence before they come back in. So that was my plan for them, you know, like a bit strong in book 1. Mikkel's like a little bit stronger in book 2. And then book 3, sorry, Mikkel's a bit stronger in book 3. And then book 4, Kaylin will probably step in a bit. Sorry.
We're like,
yes, no, we won't say any more of that. But then, you know, like, the bond thing is so problematic. So you have to have personalities there that are caretaking, that are very respectful, like Nico, mostly Nico, but also Killian, who are always like, well, hold on, like, give her a bit of space. Have you, like, in book 3, I don't know if this is a spoiler or not.
That's okay.
Yeah, I won't say it. But things
we can always edit it. You are good at catching them. You are.
We're like, keep
you have, you know, you need to have people who check up on her in a not in an overhanded, like, I am more responsible than you kind of way, but in a like, I recognize this situation for what it is. You have pressure from 10 different angles coming onto you. How do you feel about it? Like, you know, if maybe she has an encounter with someone, she needs someone to come in because she's so, you know, emotionally stunted, let's say that. She needs someone to come in and be like, how did you feel about that encounter? Do you think it was influenced by the bond? Do you think it was, you know, I will say it is a slight spoiler, but she is very averse to anyone mentioning feelings. So it was really interesting in book 3 to watch people be like, you know, maybe you did that because of never mind. Never mind. I wasn't going to say anything because she just like absolutely freaks out at the F word. But yeah, having like personalities like that, and for those kinds of characters, it is important for them to not come in too strong, because otherwise they can't be as, you know, objective, as much of a like calming sort of presence for her. And Killian knows that. That's like pretends he's gay for 3 books. You know, like, it is, yeah, it's important. And so that's how the pacing of those relationships pans out. It's just based on like, what are the problems? What do we need from them to not be creepy, to not be, you know, like to have a heavy theme on consent, like emotional consent and physical consent, all that kind of stuff. That's what pacing is based around. And when you base it around that sort of main thing, it becomes pretty easy.
Good. No, I go ahead, Megan.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. So I have a thing, the Killian thing and the Faye thing. So when I was reading the book for the first time, I was like a college student again, and I had a notebook out.
Yeah.
And because I was trying to like keep everybody straight. I'm like, there's a lot of characters in here. And I was like, okay. And I think this was before I texted Megan, and she said, like, there might be more than, there might be a large group thing going on here. So I was like, okay. So I'm like taking notes whenever a name would come up, and I would be like, okay, it's Solo, and like a characteristic about them. And for him, I wrote in it before we find out more. I'm all like, no, I wrote thinks she thinks he's gay, LOL.
Oh,
No,
nice.
he thinks he's gay, LOL. Because I think he thinks he is, but he's not fully is. Like he's, and it was just like, so that's what I'm like. But I like that he's fluid, like that, we're getting to it. And it was really smart move for him to be like, I'm like to present that way, to just have the not bother him. I was like, that's smart, dude.
Yeah.
Like I was like very.
Oh gosh, for me, he's a favorite. I love that they have that friendship. Well, and it's very cool though that, and you've made this pretty clear that they're all, no matter what, even when they are a little softer, they're all alphas.
Yeah.
Which you don't always see that, because you'll get like a cinnamon roll character, but you have it, but also he's an alpha.
Yeah.
So that's very cool. How did you come up with, I know I keep asking you how you come up with this. I'm just fascinated by this and I guess it's through this character work of, of them all being alphas.
That was from another book, actually, that I still might publish one day. But if you've read the Beatrice Harris series, it was my first ever. That series, I wrote a sequel series to and never published it. And
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Is that your version of like Alexa?
That's my watch.
That's your watch.
Oh my goodness.
That was great.
So yeah, they had two. I've rewritten this series also like 10 times, so that might still eventuate. So I'm trying to like talk about it without talking about it too much. But there was a character that was a vampire, and he actually was like a really good guy. But he just had these instincts that were like vampire terrifying, like absolutely terrifying. So the main character would have to like, she would just have a really great relationship with this guy, but then like every now and then he would do something that would just like trigger him. And so that's where that kind of started. I really loved that. And I do this all the time, where if I'm writing like 6 or 7 different series and then one starts pulling ahead, I start pulling things that I liked from the others and just piling it all into the one that I'm writing. So that kind of came in as like the alpha instincts, and the ferality obviously is like a very intense version of it. But in book 3 you start to see more of their alpha instincts like kind of switching, and you're like who does it? That's a surprise. Nico does it. That's a surprise in book 3. It's his like kind of like turning moment from like, what some people would be like, he's just like a side character at this point. Like, is he even interested in her? Like, what's going on? That's kind of his turning point, because he has like a bit of a alpha moment.
Okay.
Ooh, I'm so excited for that. That's gonna be so good.
So is that like your writing process then? Do you just like sit down and start writing and see like who is wanting to speak that day, or until something pulls you ahead and you're like, okay, we're working on Ironside? Like,
yeah, Yeah, it's like how some people are mood readers. I'm like a mood writer until something pulls ahead, and I'm like, well, now I have to write this. But I'll just go
That's
from like
so
funny
cool.
to like dark to angsty to, whatever else. Yeah.
That is so cool. I've never heard an author refer to themselves as a mood writer. And as a mood reader, I like love that. And I think it
Yeah.
works for you because it's making for a very like satisfying series full of like
Mhm.
so many things that I love
Mhm.
all in one that just like flows very well. No wonder a mood writer
Sure.
to a mood reader.
Yeah.
It all makes sense now.
The connection is
So
connecting.
like, okay, the alphas. And I have this, Megan knows. I really like it when people have like the different scents that go with them.
Yeah.
How have you come up with that for them?
I can't remember. I remember I had a notebook because I was like recording all of these different candle scents. So I was like, wow, that's no. There's this I don't know if it's in book 1 or 2 or 3, but I'm gonna say it anyway. People smell more attractive when you're attracted to them.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Is that
I feel
is
like
that
that.
not in?
I,
I think we already
I
know
feel like,
that.
yeah, we know
Okay.
that. Hmm. We know that. Silence.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not like
Hmm.
all these guys' scents are actually like that amazing. It's because she's
Hmm.
attracted to them that they smell good. That's why,
Hmm.
like Mikkel, who is described as ugly, she's not
Hmm.
that immediately like, wow, he's so hot. He smells like a storm, it's not like
Hmm.
something that
Okay.
more like vanilla or
Yeah.
so as she the scents were like things that are really nice to smell. So like candle scents is what I was looking into for that stuff. Yeah.
Do you have like a spreadsheet? Are you keeping like, do you have an amazing memory and you just know like Theo is this, or do you have to look it up?
It's not that hard to remember. Some stuff weirdly their ages I never remember. I'm like, someone's 7 years older, someone's
Hmm.
3. Killian's older than you would think. Like those are the things that I remember, but I
Hmm.
don't, yeah, in like the hierarchy of things.
Mhm.
You would think he's like down the bottom somewhere, but he's not.
Okay.
Um,
Because
yeah,
Oscar is up, right? I thought someone
he's
said he
number
was,
3.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
So I automatically assumed it was like Professor Oscar.
Oscar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I assumed. So don't do
yeah.
that.
But I use Scrivener, and then Scrivener has just like threads upon threads upon threads of notes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were developing the series, you said, for a while, for like a year. And I know, like when I was first following in your group, you had like originally it was going to be shorter books, like
Yeah.
kind of rapid released. How did it get turned into, which I love a long, thick book, let me tell you. How did it turn into like a thicker books over a more spread out time?
To be fair, I've never written 10 love interests, so
Yeah,
I
that's a lot.
wasn't thinking in that frame of mind. I was just thinking
Hmm.
like the way I normally write and the like plot um for this series will be
Hmm.
around like this many books, and I could do it like not short, but like a normal novel length.
Hmm.
And then I wrote the first one and I was like, okay, this is gonna be a lot more than I thought. And yeah, and then I wrote the second one and was like, okay, this is actually like number 3 is gonna be massive. I can't do, yeah.
I love massive.
I love
We
that.
love it. Yes.
Mhm.
So is it going to, I don't know if you can say this, is it going to go past their time at Ironside or is it going to stick to the years
Like a
Can't
just
say
at
that.
Ironside? Is
Can't
that
say.
going? You can't say. Okay.
Can't say.
That's Okay. I respect that. I respect that.
Are
Well,
you
because
gonna go?
I'm wondering, they're all at different ages. What happens when some of them graduate and some of them don't? So
Well,
that'll
they
be
are
interesting.
all pretending to be the same age.
Mhm.
Oh, they are. Okay, so
I
they
gathered that
are
they were
all
all the same
pretending.
class.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought that I don't know why I thought some of them were in different classes. So they are. Okay, so what
Yeah.
happens when they graduate for it? Okay.
Mm.
Interesting. Interesting. Well, I won't go too far into my theories, but I did hear in one of your lives, I think someone mentioned like thinking about something like a revolution. I'm also in that headspace. I'm also in that headspace. I'm just going to put that out there.
No more
No?
revolutions.
Yeah, that's how I feel now. Before I even heard that, I was like, that's where I feel. So, well, I think it was kind of about the society that they're in,
Yeah.
where okay, so you have people with powers, and instead of them being in power, they're kind of oppressed unless they rise up and they're like the only ones to star in this show and like make it, and they become like celebrities. And in today's society, like in America at least, and I'm guessing Australia too, it seems like the celebrities are royalty. It's like you don't have royals. Like who are our royalty? It's
Mm.
celebrities. It's these mega stars that the paparazzi follow. I mean, it's fascinating, and I love that kind of aspect in this book. Um, so I know you said that pop star was the one thing that remained, but how did
Yeah.
you kind of come up with this oppressed people and being put onto this reality show? How did that all kind of come about? If you don't mind me asking another, how did it come about? It's very fascinating. It's very different.
Yeah. I was I mean, the first thing was Britney Spears' conservatorship. I was like, how is this person so powerful in the sense that you're talking about and yet has
Hmm.
absolutely no power whatsoever? And that kind
Yeah.
of that stuck in my brain for a while. I was like, I really wanted to explore that, but I just didn't, it hadn't like properly formed yet. And then I started writing Ironside. I wrote a whole so many different versions of it. And then I fell into this like stupid deep dive YouTube thing on like the dark side of K-pop. And I was
Oh,
like,
hmm.
holy
Yeah.
shit, you can impose these kinds of restrictions on people. Obviously, it's a
Hmm.
different ball game, but like, you know, there were people that were going into their like K-pop academies, and if they didn't
Oh,
weigh
yeah.
less on the way out, they were like eliminated. And I was
Mm.
like, that is insane. Like it is
Yeah.
insane what these stories that I'm like seeing. And then that really kicked the idea off because then I was like, well, what if, what if all of these restrictions that I can impose on people trying to get famous and yeah, just snowballed from there. I'm really obsessed with the idea. It's like an overarching thing that hasn't even really come into play yet. Like, not
Hmm.
really, but that's where I'm trying to get to.
I really
And
like.
there's definitely hints of that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I liked
Mhm.
just the what we know. It spoke to me. Like I was like, I feel like I feel for like the characters, like even like Isabel and like her like not caring for the competition and the social
Yeah.
media part of it. And I'm like, it's like in today's world, it's like a necessary evil to me.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting because we're like very limited with our kids and screens, and part of their education where they're at
Yeah.
is very promotes like limited things like that. And it's
Yeah.
just like amazing seeing like the difference of like being present versus
Yeah.
being like on your phone when you're with friends and stuff. So it's like it just like it spoke to me like just like I was thinking all philosophical and like
Yeah.
metaphoric, about like us humans and humankind and media and what is it really doing and
Yeah.
stuff. But it is I think with Ironside, because that's the series I know with you, it's just there's so many layers to it that it's just
Hmm.
like, and then it's relatable layers too. And
Yeah.
then like even things that you like aha moments where you're like, oh my gosh, yes, like in the second book, Tune Turner, however you want to say it.
Yeah.
When it wasn't Oscar got upset, and Kian, when they were like surrogating, surrogate, how do you surrogate
Oh my gosh,
alphas for
surrogate.
yeah,
Being a surrogate.
and something, and they noticed that she got hurt, and like I think it was Oscar got like all like started getting really upset, and like she had to talk to someone on the phone.
Was Reader
Like,
Spade?
Oh, that would have
on
been
the phone.
Elijah probably.
Yeah, and he was like, like he told her to do something, and she like submitted by like showing her neck and stuff, and they're like, no, that's not what we're saying, because like that like escalated it. And it was like those moments where you like, we know what we know about Isabel and her father and her mother, but then seeing that scene, it was like, oh wow, like it was like, I really understand it now. Sorry, this is totally a random tangent, and I just feel so discombobulated with everything, but I'm just like, basically the layers of it is amazing, and it's like, I just appreciate all the different facets of it, and I'm really excited to see where it goes.
Thank you.
And I just love how big it is, and those chapters are nice and long, and like
they are beefy chapters.
I love them. I love it all.
Love it. Well, and yeah,
it's I like third person, because I didn't know I liked that.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot, like in indie, especially in indie romance, you don't see third person as much. This was, I think I wouldn't want it written any other way.
You could have, and it'd be the same. Yeah.
Did you always intend to rate it?
Thing.
It is.
Yeah, it's like ever since I started writing, in high school, it was always third person. And then almost every book that I write, I will write a third person version of it, because that's what I love.
Really?
So I'm like, can I make this work? And then usually it's like, nah, everyone's going to want that in first person. So I rewrite it in first person. But I did, probably half of the versions of this I wrote, more than half would have been first person. But you can't write 10 characters in first person. It wouldn't work. I mean, I'm sure it would work to some degree, but not to this degree.
Yeah.
Well, I think for how intricate and layered it is, it definitely wouldn't work. Like Sarah was saying, it is multifaceted. And I mean, I just really appreciate a romance with a plot and with all these layers. I mean, and I'm not a huge reality fan, but my mother loves Big Brother in America, and I watched it for her this year, and I just kept thinking about Ironside and like the cameras being on you all the time, and just how much they mess up. They have these live feeds. It's on them 24 hours, and like it ruins their lives. Like some of these people forget that they're on camera. So it's just so interesting to read about it in this context, in like in a paranormal romance. It's just it definitely is multifaceted, and I think we really appreciate how much time you put into the plot and the layers of it. And it's very fascinating that you mentioned Brittany, because we were just talking about it. I just read her memoir. Did you read that?
No.
Yet? Are you interested to read it?
I don't know, because like I've been seeing her Instagram videos, and so I don't think she would have written it. I don't know who's written that, but
yeah, it definitely had a ghostwriter, 100%.
Yeah.
But it is, I will say, it is very it's very fascinating. And I don't know, it was fascinating. So even if she didn't write it, I do find like her account of things very fascinating, and everything that she went through, and how her life kind of plummeted down for her family to kind of seize control, which is very fascinating because of Isabel and her father. And then you think of Brittany and how her father, you've got those similarities of
you can tell where I got my influence for that from.
Yeah. I mean, the similarities there. I mean, it's just, so it's very interesting to see that explored, because it's so, unfortunately, it's realistic even in a paranormal, different society like that.
Yeah.
I love how you say like paranormal, and I'm like, wait, is it paranormal? And I'm like, oh yeah, it's like, it feels like normal paranormal. Does that make sense? Like it's like, or not normal, like
magic realism-ish or something.
Yeah, like I just like, I'm like, to me they're so real that I'm like, okay, like what I don't know why. Like I'm like
Yeah.
but there is like they have powers, they have things going on, but to me like it just
It's just so
doesn't feel like
contemporary.
paranormal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very contemporary paranormal.
Yeah.
Well,
I know.
kind of like X-Men. I feel like X-Men's the most grounded of like the superhero like
Yeah.
comics and movies. Something about I think just having powers but living in our like our society. Like there's being
Yeah.
people that are like mutants versus not. I think there's something
Mhm.
about it being set in that kind of society, maybe.
Yeah. You said it before. The like it's I really wanted it to be very slice of life, but you know,
Yeah.
having to promote yourself on social media is not
Mhm.
the slice of life that you want. So like having that sort of creep in as she starts to take the game more seriously, because that
Mhm.
is life, right? You know, you start to get
Yeah.
more successful and you're like, well, I can't really just flail around being me anymore. I have to promote, I have to put myself out there, I have to take it seriously. I have no choice. And I did think that that was something that a lot of people would resonate with, you know,
Mhm.
because it doesn't matter what kind of job you have now, you have to put yourself on social media.
Yeah.
You have, it's the only way to do anything anymore. So I did think that was really interesting for such a, you know, paranormal setting to have that very real world like thing that everyone is, you know, like, you know, they wake up dreading it when they get that little like
Mhm.
splash of excitement when something works, and like she's going through all of that as well. It is very contemporary, but in such a random fantasy kind of setting.
Yeah,
So
very well said.
with her, so she was having help with some of her social media plan,
Yeah.
and with what happened at the end, um she's losing a helper. Does that mean that she's going to get help elsewhere from, because I know you can't tell me what's going to happen to that character. I'm not saying their name because I'm not upset. I'm
Yeah.
upset,
Yeah.
but I'm like ugh. um very protective of our Isabel. So I'm like, how do I say, will an alpha jump in? Because I know we have some like tech savvy alphas and just like in general, like, very different kind of smarts going on and ideas.
Mm.
Do you think that, well, I mean, you're their creator. Will they be jumping in to help, or I mean, are we stuck with dad's team? Or can you just anything?
My
I
theory are
will.
professors. That's my theory.
Professors.
Hmm.
Professors are my theory.
Hmm.
Uh, I will answer as though I haven't written book three, just knowing
Okay.
the characters. They are
Hmm.
going to want her to do this herself.
Okay.
Nobody's going to
Okay.
step in and babysit her. Like all of their,
I
you know,
love
like
that.
initiation tasks. Like it's all to be
Yeah.
like, you need to start standing on your own and
Okay.
sticking up for yourself. And
Protecting yourself.
yeah, I think
I
like
like that. Hmm.
maybe at times when she's going to be her own worst enemy, someone may step in.
Mhm.
But just in general, I don't think anyone's going to micromanage her. They'll be more like shove her out into the cold and be like, come back when you've learned how to build a fire.
Okay. Yeah, I can. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I like
Yeah, and I know, I think in the world of uh their hierarchy being I hope I'm saying it right,
Sigma.
Sig, Sigma. Oh my gosh, I should know that. Sigma. Uh, I really should. I was in the Greek system. Sigma. Um, so I think there's misconceptions like from what I've read about them in general, but some of the stuff like Nico teaching her self-defense and them wanting her to take her on her own, it kind of seems like it's going against what's supposed to be her nature, but we are also told that maybe there hasn't been a ton of research into them. They're rare.
Mm.
So what can you tell us about that and her nature and how much that controls like what she's capable of? Or is it just, you know, we're
Yeah.
not told exactly the range. I'm very curious about that, about like how they have to stick with it. Well, because it seems like the alphas, like they have their alpha instincts and they have to fight against that or embrace it. So I'm very curious about with her.
The main influence on
Mm-hmm.
the Sigmas, just as a subgroup of people, is
Mm-hmm.
like, this might be getting like a little, like you said, there's layers, but in my head, there's like this many more layers.
Oh gosh.
The Sigmas to me felt like this. Maybe I was just feeling a bit salty when I came up with like this structure, but they're
Okay.
like women. You know, the metaphor is that this is how people talk about women. Like, you need
Oh,
to
I like
be
that.
felt, not seen or heard. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we need to feel your presence. You need to always be soft. You need to always be understanding. Don't be too overpowering. That's everybody else's job, you know. When
Yeah.
you get any kind of emotion where like that's not your place, like your place is to regulate everybody else's emotions. That's like the archetypal mother role, right? Like, you're not
Mm-hmm.
allowed to have a tantrum. You're just there to regulate everybody else and take care of everybody else. So that was the metaphor for Sigmas. It's, you know,
Okay.
like, you know, even like imagine this as like a sport. Like if her going into Ironside Academy, they're like, here's the star and here's this star. It's like women's sport. It's like interview this
Yeah.
person and this person, and then they go to Isabel and they're like, oh, Sigma, fuck off. Like,
Yeah.
not as important.
Yeah.
You
Like we don't
can't
even have
do
a
what
room for
everybody
you.
else here can do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's very extreme. I'm not saying that we as a society go to that extreme, especially not
Yeah.
anymore, but I do feel like that sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, and I really wanted to
I do too.
really just emphasize that to like an insane degree through the Sigmas.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I don't know why I didn't see that because it's so
It's
very,
there.
very true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why everyone's like, for some weird reason, I relate to being a Sigma so much.
That again, the connections there, that makes so much sense.
So
So it's kind of like how
yeah.
women are viewed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. That
But I get
that
it
answers
too,
a
because
lot for
that
me actually.
feelings, and I didn't really realize it until you were talking about, because I'm like, me as a mother and all the things that,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, how can I help you? How can I support you?
Yeah.
Like, how can I prevent that meltdown? Okay, your like, how do I
Yeah.
fix that? And then I get run ragged because I'm your
Yeah.
support, but what about me? Megan said that
Yeah.
earlier to me, actually. So it's like,
And
yeah.
it's the same like thing with her when she takes on too much and then she gets sick. She always goes and does it in private.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's always like,
Hmm.
I'll have my little breakdown.
Yeah.
Nobody will know about it. And then I'll be, again, an empty vessel for everyone else the next day. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That always gets me. That gets me.
Yeah, but okay. Sorry.
Well,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
it does. It just
It's
it
so
really does
good.
resonate.
Hmm.
Yeah. I
It
don't
is
know
so
how
good.
salty I was feeling when I wrote that.
Well,
You know,
I appreciate that you were feeling that way that day
yeah,
just for that because it
yeah.
really does. Okay. I mean, it really, the way you put it, just put it in a whole new perspective for
Mhm,
me
Yeah.
when it comes to, because you think of, well, and traditionally when you hear about these books, it's like alpha, beta, omegas. I've
Yeah.
never read a book with a sigma before. So very interesting to hear in this world that that's how the inspiration for it.
mhm.
Yeah.
It makes me a whole different perspective. And it's so true. Hmm. Sorry, I'm processing. So it's going to be no. Now I'm thinking, and you've said it's going to be 5 books, correct?
No, she said 6 to 7.
Oh,
6 to 7.
you did.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry.
you said 6 to 7. Where did I get 5 from? I was just in
No,
the
there's
Facebook group.
her website says 6 to 7. I've like
Oh,
memorized everything on here right now.
I
Oh,
wasn't
I've
sure.
I've watched every reality show that has come out because, like, why would I
Mhm.
not be writing what I am? Like, I need to get the vibe right.
That's
But
true. That's
sometimes it's
very
hard.
true. Sometimes it is. I can only again imagine
Mhm.
um being on one of those and like the Ironside being basically almost 24/7 except for those like
Yeah.
little spaces that they have. Or like, oh my gosh, and
Which,
they found them on the roof. Yeah. They
mm,
thought they had that moment.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's gonna get worse as it goes on because they're not,
Ah,
like they're popular right now, but they're only
mm-hmm,
first and second years. Like nobody cares about first and second years.
mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's definitely easing everyone into how hectic it's about to get.
Ooh. And I know the tagline for the third book is very intriguing, so
The
I'm ready.
monsters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, so 6 or 7 books,
Oh gosh.
and we're just on book 3. This is gonna, we're in for it, man. Wow, we're just on book 3. 6 or 7. I'm excited. I
I'm
love a
so
nice long
excited.
series.
Me too.
I'm scared. Like I know
Are
the
you?
ending for Turner was bad. I know it was bad. I sat
Mm-hmm.
there after I wrote it and I was like, wow, you are really fucked up, man. I was just like staring at the wall. But
Oh, I mean, I kind of loved the end.
did
Yeah,
you?
I'm a sucker for pain.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, you need something. It can't be all. You need bad to get good.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what it is.
Yeah. You
You
need to
do. You
go
need the
through
bad for
stuff
the
to
good.
get to your good. That's how.
Mm.
I like the juicy setups for what's to come. I think that's part of it. Do you have you plotted out the series? Like, you know how like it's going to end?
Yeah. I
Mm.
I had something that in my original plan was supposed to happen in book 1, and this is what really made me be like, these books are not going to be short because I had it planned, but it's not something that you can rush. So it was kind of percolating, and I'm like, no, that needs more time. And then I was like, maybe book 2. And I was like, no, apparently not book 2. It's still building because it needs to be handled with sensitivity, and I know that. This
Okay,
is why I'm scared, by the way. I don't think
gotcha.
it's as bad as Turner. I think book
Okay.
3 is easier, it's more palatable. But I
Yeah.
mean, the ending was bad. It was all of those things. But like, are you? But
It's
But
like
yeah,
the Jane created them. What do you
no,
mean?
it's
yeah.
fiction.
It's fiction
Oh my
and you
gosh, that's
softened
rough.
it too because like okay, the ending was bad, but then you give us a bonus chapter. You give us an extra
Yeah.
Yeah.
scene to it, so it's not like end and you're like, "Wait, what?" You get a little bit more time to at least like it's still they're still bad, but
Yeah.
we get a whole more chapter to digest it before the last
Mm.
page. Because like I'm the person that
Yeah.
Yeah.
will read like I don't realize it's the end, right? And then like I'm reading, and then like you get to the very end and you're like, wait, where's the rest? And that's it. And you get the thank you page,
Yeah.
acknowledgement page, and you're like, no, 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 but what's next? So then you get that little snippet, you're like, oh, okay, well, that's the start of what's next.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I think for the both books they had that like
Mhm.
little bit at the end that kind of almost the bonus, and I think that
Mm.
does soften the blow a lot for sure.
Mhm.
I was worried. I wasn't that worried about the ending for book 1 or 2, but this
Yeah.
thing that I was trying to build up to, which does eventually happen in book 3, I was petrified right from the
Mm.
start of this series. I was like, I don't know if I can write this. I did so much research. Any show that had this in it, I watched that
Hmm.
show to see how they tackled their. Oh, sorry, I just knocked my mic. How they tackled their like warnings or anything.
Hmm.
Like I put so much into. I may have softened it too much because I've
Okay.
put so much into like being afraid of how this is going to go down. But it's kind of it's softened in the way of like you don't really get the effect of it. Like it
Okay.
happens, the book's over, as is the theme with these books. And
Yeah.
then the fallout, the effect is probably going to be the hardest part, and that'll be book 4. So
Hmm.
all of my like my sensitivity effort has gone into actually this event, and it's been almost a relief to know that Turner ending was so bad. It was so horrific for people that they'll get to this like ultimately far more horrific thing and be like, it's not so bad. Kind of like conditioned at this
This
point.
is this is like we know what to
Yeah.
like
You do.
we
Like at
it's
this point,
expected. Yeah.
you've got to know what to expect. Like
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got two theories for what it is. I won't say what it is, but I have two theories.
Mm.
I'm just nervous, but
And if it's what I think it is, I don't know. I personally like some of the harder topics being explored in these books, personally.
Yeah,
So, mhm,
I thought there was no way to write this collection of people, this,
mhm.
melting pot of everything without including something like this. And
Okay.
I've tried to baby step up to it as much as possible. But I think it's going to be tough for maybe, how do I say this? Some, how some traumatic things are like off page, they're kind of like
Yeah.
alluded to but not really. It's kind of, I ended up kind of doing it a little bit like that, like it's on page but there's so much going on that it's a little bit off page. It's like you're focused on all of these things happening that you don't actually really focus on the big traumatic thing, because you're
Mhm.
just in like this like race kind of thing to get to some point. So I think the start of book 4 is going to be tough. The start of book 4 is tough. I've already started it. Yeah, I think it's very interesting what happens at the start of book 4. It's a total 180 change of pace, change of scene. Like, I mean, well, at the start of every other book, she's waking up in a hospital. So this is like such a change. It's very different setting, very surprising collection of characters. The start of book 4.
Okay.
I am
It's
thoroughly
very different,
intrigued.
very strange. Yeah.
I am thoroughly intrigued and excited, honestly. So, as a fan of the series, everything you're telling me just makes me kind of really excited for what's to come,
Yeah,
especially to hear that you're handling with care. But like, I don't know,
yeah.
like I like some of these things, that all the things that cross my mind that could be alluded to. I'm excited to see explored.
Yeah, like I probably shouldn't be talking about it at all, but I am worried that people are going to read it and be like, are you just like, I don't think anyone will, but you can't write something like this without worrying that people are going to know that you're trying to handle it with care. But I think nobody has, in my ARC readers have read it, nobody's been like, sorry about that. Nobody's been like, well, okay, well, we'll just use my editor as an example. Usually, like in Turner, she was like, no, no, no. As the ending progressed. This time she was just like, this is sad. It wasn't, it didn't feel like shock value. It felt, her comments made it seem like it wasn't shock value. It was just a kind of progression of how things ended up.
Yeah, makes sense. No, I like that and the care, and I think that comes across to the readers.
Yeah. I'm
so
jealous that the ARC team is already. I'm so jealous.
Yeah, my focus is on all this stuff, and they're just like, yes, those scenes, not the ones that I'm focusing on. Just,
the other things that you've teased.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited for some of those.
The things that I promised.
I'm excited for the things that have been promised. They're falling very
They're all here for all the things.
I did manage to shock a few people, so I'm pretty proud of that.
Ooh.
Like that kind of stuff, I'm okay shocking people with. That's good.
It's the other.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm excited for all of it.
I can't wait for you guys to read it.
Me too.
We can't wait either. It's just a few more weeks. We're almost there.
Yeah, so close now.
Yeah. I know. It's good. Time has flown. So I can't believe we're this far into November. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
Yeah.
So I have one last question just for like a new to you reader. Would you recommend they start right away in Ironside? Like, or do you have like another series where you're like, you need to read this?
I would probably say start with Ironside just because everyone's reading it at the moment. You know, you get to kind of join in all the everyone else's chats and excitement and stuff. But yeah, I'd probably say Ironside just for that, just for the community aspect of it.
True, that's a good one.
It's
Okay.
a very devoted fan base.
It is, yeah, it is.
Oh, they're great. They're fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's great to read it as it's coming out. Like, this is one of those series where I'm like, you have to read it as it releases because it's so fun. It's just fun to be in the groups with the teasers and theorizing, and it's just a fun experience.
The theorizing is the best.
It really is. And your group is so much fun. Like, it's one of the most active Facebook groups I am in right now, and it's just they're so nice. It's such a great community.
There's a niceness. They're like, yeah, you have this vibe to it where you're like, okay, like I can ask this question. No one's gonna be like, don't you know, like it's, I like it.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah, we don't delete much. There's not a lot of moderation that goes on. I mean, I've been deleting pictures that some people in the ARC team have posted as jokes, just like in the Discord channel, not even in the Facebook. I think there may have been one in the Facebook group, but they think they're being subtle, but it's like as obvious as an elephant. I'm like, quick, delete. They're just like,
no, that's not.
Oh, and people obviously will post in the Facebook group about the surprise ending of Turner. You know, like really mad, like this person, how dare they? And I quickly delete. But that's it.
Because of spoilers,
yeah. There's no nobody's really like in there like being mean, or it doesn't really happen. They're a great bunch.
Yeah, it's a really great group. And again, I'm so passionate about the series, and I think for good reason. So it's like a cult following the series has. I would call it, and I love it. So it's awesome that you've kind of created this community around this series. So,
bro, I haven't done anything. They've created themselves.
I mean, you wrote the book.
I lied. I have one more question. So out of all the alphas, do you have like a top 3? I'll just say 3 because I know you probably can't I'm very white too, so I understand that you want to like say like 1, but do you have like, or is it more like at the moment? You can even say like at the moment these 3 are like my favorite.
Not even a little bit, but like we could say like in book 1, it's more like per book. Some of them just have really shining moments, and I'm like, I love that for you. That you really entertained me. Like I'm not writing it, sorry. they write themselves. Right. But I'm like, that was great. I'm trying to remember. I mean, I have book 3 in my head because it's obviously the one I just finished. But there was Mikkel had a moment where I was like, I'm loving this for you. You've really like come out and shown us who you are, and he definitely kept me entertained in book 3. But also Moses was probably my like I liked his progression the most in book 3. It was adorable in a very not adorable way, whatever. You know, Moses, he's like, he would hate anyone calling him adorable, but it was adorable. So
I'm so excited for that. And like the whole sentence you just said, oh my gosh. I'm a fan of Moses. I'm excited.
Oh, you're going to love book 3. You have to message me when you read like a certain scene. It's just well, you have no idea what I'm saying right now. When he gets to the point where he's like maybe like thinking that he's possibly like catching feels a little bit. That scene just made this book for me because it was just so like, it was so Moses. I can't even.
Oh, I'm so excited. That's what I'm waiting for because like, after that kiss, I was just sold. I was sold at their first kiss. I was sold at that interaction. I am such a fan of his. And the way he is with his brother, I'm sold. Okay. I mean, because everyone loves Oscar. Don't get me wrong. I love Oscar too, but I feel like they're very, they have this like bad boy duo, and I'm just waiting for everyone to love Moses the way that I do. I'm excited. I will message you. I'm sure I'll know it. I'm totally gonna message you.
Yeah, you're gonna think you know it, and then
Okay.
after that you're gonna know it.
Okay.
There are
So
scenes
I'll
that
be
are close
faked
to it.
out.
Oops, sorry, Moki.
Okay. I'm excited. That's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
so here for it.
Well, yeah, we're here. We're here for all of it.
Did you guys have a top three?
Oh, it definitely changes, but yeah. I
Per
would say
book.
yeah. Moses is, I think it's for me, it's Killian. Ooh, it's so hard because it was Theo. It was Theo.
Theo.
Oh,
Killian.
I'm so happy. But as always, everyone just forgets about him because
I
he gets
know,
so much
I do
time.
too.
No,
I
I
love
That like,
Theo.
I'm
I
worried
love
about
Theo.
Theo. I worry about him sharing. I'm worried about
oh,
how he's gonna do
With the
with everything. I worry about
that's smart. It's yeah.
that's my to worry. I love that.
Well,
I love that.
that means that you're like correctly assessing his character.
yeah. I can't really think of a top three because I start going down the whole list and I go, well, like this and then this. Like so Oscar, I feel like after the second book was a big I really warmed up to Oscar.
Mm.
But like Elijah, I feel like he's always been really intriguing to me. So
Yeah.
but then like Kian too.
Oh,
I kind of love a
Kian.
reformed playboy. Like, so it's like I don't know if I can. I'm very white choosing them. So like, if you made me
Yeah.
like pick, I would be like, oh, but see, like I do want Theo in there. Can I have four?
Yeah, sure.
Ian, Theo, Oscar, Elijah. No, I need five.
Really doesn't want that.
I don't know. Yeah. So see that's what happens. Like I'll go like
Yeah.
this, and then oh no. What about so? But
I
yeah.
will say the tricky part of having 10 of them is making it so that each of them is necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Like you
Yeah.
need the golden retriever energy, you need someone who's a
Mhm.
planner, you need the wild card for the excitement, but the wild card doesn't work unless you have this person, and that person doesn't work unless you have that person. Like,
Yeah.
so it
Exactly.
ends up being like, I love Oscar's energy, but you can't pick him because without, Theo balancing him out, then it doesn't work.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is such a great reverse harem. And I love that, oh my gosh, it's Spade. Spade that has
Gabriel
like the
Spade, yeah.
yes, that has the OCD.
Yeah.
Um, and I have OCD, so I'm like, I
Yeah.
love my representation. I was just so excited for representation.
Yes.
I'm like, yes.
He's very like neurospicy, but as you can see, I've avoided any kind of labels in this book.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he's got sensory issues, like he's on the spectrum
Mm,
somewhere. So he's, obviously got massive OCD, but he's also like you
mm.
see him at the beach where he's like sand, ew, sand, like
Yeah,
he's got a lot of sensory issues as well. But I love how Isabel just kind of notes them and she's like, yeah, that's just Spade. That's just how he is. It's not like,
yeah.
why is he such a weirdo? It's just sand.
I love that. I loved the scene in his room. That was everything. That was so great. So God, it is so hard to choose because like I think I know my three, and then then you start mentioning other people. I'm like, we can't.
Yeah.
So it definitely
Yeah.
changes by book. It definitely, and
Well,
that's
and
what I think
then
makes a great reverse harem.
we were talking, and I'll say that this will be the last thing.
I'm sorry. I
Um,
know we've kept you so long. I'm so sorry.
Megan and
I
I were talking about the professors. Oh gosh, under the desk.
Mikkel.
Yes, and we want that scene again, but some other things.
Oh yes.
To
Oh,
happen in that. We're like, can we have
Listen,
that
it might
in the
take a
future?
little while for Mikkel to get there.
okay. That makes sense. That makes sense for
But I
him.
can see that. I can see that being a thing later.
That was like that scene. Yeah, under the desk. Oh.
Yeah.
You do get another surprise teleportation in
Yeah.
book 3.
I
I
love
love
these
those.
teleportations. They're so fun.
Yeah.
And I love that that's how it was all discovered. That's a fun aspect.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I actually only have like 5% battery left.
I know.
So.
That was me. Yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
So sorry we
much,
kept you so long.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Don't apologize. It's been so fun.
Good.
For us too. It seriously meant so much to us, and we're just such huge fans.
Oh, thank you guys so much. It was really fun to chat about my favorite subject. So.
Ours too.
All right, see you guys.
All right, see you. We'll message you. Bye. Thank you.